Welcome all. Today I'm going to help you explain how to use this Nokia apps Kubernetes validation. So we have a session information page, um, Helm YAML validation, data XLS validation, compare and settings. Um, so session, you need to provide all the session information on for the particular application which you are interested in. For example, if you want to do certain validation of HSS application, then the HSS application data parameters you need to provide, like what is the prefix that you're interested for the deployment or stateful set, and in which namespace it is running. So you can provide the namespace name and what kind of path you are interested to validate, whether it is uh, staging, production, or sandbox. If you want to provide the path where the images are residing, you can provide those path here. And what is the image policy that you're interested to very validate? Right now we have if not present and always. Okay, so I'm presently giving image policy if not present, and the resource buffer percentage it tells, like since we are planning to validate the dimensioning, we want to ensure that my dimension data or the deployment that we have is within my dimension limit. So I created an application and then I added extra buffer, and I want to ensure that my application is not exceeding this buffer. This protects my environment, reserves, I can reserve accordingly my um, worker nodes, resources, everything to that buffer. So saying that, currently by default I'm keeping up 20, but again if you want to change, you can change it over here. So let's say here we have right now 20. So I'm going to save my session, the session information, and then when I try to open the same window again in another window, the session information here is going to be different from that of other one. So each window I'm maintaining the session. So like right now, whatever the session information you have configured on this page is displayed over here in the current session configuration. If you want to add anything new, hostname prefix or namespace or the path or policy, then you can come to the setting page and then you can define the new name that you want to define and then save it. So once you save this, you can see those in the session information. Session information. Um, this page is all about setting the session, and the current session that we have here is HSS, all the stuff. Okay. Now, and we have a Helm YAML validation. So here we have two things. One is I'm going to validate the YAML file of the Helm, which is used at the time of rendering. So we have a Helm list, and we can just run a Helm get render manifest to get the manifest file of the Helm, and we can transfer that into one single file, and we can just validate all my Helm to ensure that we are configured all the sessions specific to the one that we specify, like whether the host name were prefix were configured accordingly, namespace were configured, the image path were defined as it is, and the policies of if all the images that we configured is configured as if not present. So to do that, I'm just going to browse one of the validation here. Let's say HSS here, and then when I do verify, it will validate the file. You can see it is running over here, and after this validation it says yes, YAML validation of 84 documents over here, and it is taking the session information of this, and you can see here hostname prefix and namespace validation successful. So that means it verified all the hostname prefix and the namespace of all the deployment stateful set, daemon set, and dispatcher. And again, image name, image path, and image tag, image policy, everything has been verified over here. If there is some error, probably it will throw an error. Let me show you over there. For example, we are right now configured this for HSS, but let me give the wrong application over here and then see what's going to happen here over here. So this session is configured for HSS, but then for the testing purpose I gave the wrong input, which is for ASPC. So here you can see it's failed. The report is saying it's all failed because I'm just comparing the wrong uh, hostname prefix over here, and then you can see also the namespace is not matching to what we are exactly looking for. So that's why it's saying the report is failed. And again, the image path and image tags are successful because all our deployments were running on the same image path, and the prefixes, the image tag is also matching over here. That's why this is successful. And here we have other one tab where you want to convert the YAML file that we got it from the Helm Git manifest to create a dimension sheet. Okay, so here you can see create detail and dimension extras from the Helm YAML with 20% buffer. Okay, so this 20% buffer again you can control it over here. For example, if you save this into 0, then if you come over here and then say convert YAML, then you can say with no buffer. So why I have this facility is like I want to ensure that whenever I want to create the sheet with the current YAML file that we want, then I can simply do this with this control. So if I want to have with a 20% dimension, I can just increase it. This is the one that I want, but rather I would always say just go with 0 and define what exactly that you're looking for, maximum that number that you can looking for, and then you can compare with the actual Helm deployment that we have with the one that we are expected. So that way you will be able to really find the difference in the data. So now, for example, for the time being, I'm going to give HSS and when I say convert, this is running right now, and then all the YAML file will be converted, and it just renders the Excel sheet. Okay. So right now you can see there are two tables, which is one they call it as dimension data. So you can see over here all the names and the deployment in which namespace it's running, and the replica along with the network details in which this particular deployment or stateful set is running. And then you also see the total CPU that this particular pod is interested in. So all these details like total memory, everything. So this includes the init container, the actual containers, everything specific to this particular uh, deployment or stateful set, you will be able to see here. But again, this is the dimension details. But again, we have also detail sheet. So in the detail sheet, you will be able to see exactly for this particular group of deployment. You can see there are four containers. You can look over here, and then you can see there are four containers. And the container names, what are the container names, and what image each of the container name each is using. You can completely look into the each image names of this particular containers, and you can see what is the image policy that was set and what was the image tag, and each CPE request and memory used specifically per the container, including its request limit. You can see over here. So this total is what you can see over here in the total dimension. Okay. Like that, you will be able to get the complete detail here for each and every deployment stateful cell, dispatchers, everything. Okay. And if you want, if you just click on over this, it'll you can see here it is just converting the entire view that we have seen as a Excel sheet. Okay. So then all the data that you have in YAML file specific to this dimension will be just read to the Excel sheet, and going further, you can refer the Excel sheet. And now consider you have the Excel sheet which you created either manually or using this tool you created. Before that, you have to validate the sheet, because if there is something wrong with the inputs, then definitely it will be a problem. So I just want to ensure that the Excel sheet that you created is correctly configured, or provided the inputs were configured as per the requirement. So if you see here, it is clearly validate the sheet. It says the detail sheet deployment names columns matches with expected values. Namespace were defined with whatever we expected. Images you defined with the right tags, all the stuff, all the things that is validated, and it says that the validation is successful. But if there is something that you're giving the wrong input in the HS Excel sheet, something like if image policy, if you're giving anything other than away if not present, then this guy will say, hey, image policy is not matching. Or if the image tag you are just giving something latest, which is not recommended by the customer, but then it will say yes, there is something which you are given which is not validating. Okay. And namespace, if you're not given the right namespace, then this guy will throw an error, the namespace column is empty or something like that. So this particular tab will help you ensure that the data that you created, the Excel sheet that you created, is as per the need of the tool, and which can be used for the comparing. So now finally we are coming here. In this, I'm going to right now give HSS, the YAML file that we want to ensure, and here you're going to give the Excel sheet. Okay, I clearly specified detect resource overutilization, ensure application access reflect the expected max utilization. What I mean to say here is um, upload the HSS file or the application file in which you are expecting what is the maximum buffer that application can grow. So now I can compare what was my deployment and what was expected my application can go. So then we can easily verify whether we are within that range or within the buffer that we define. So you can see right now it's running. It takes time because it has to validate all the HSS YAML file and then compile this. Okay. So here you can see there are two mismatch detector right now. And it is saying that there is a mismatch. It is found because we are expecting. Okay, there is something I want to look into this. Uh, it is within the buffer, but what I mean is the Excel sheet is saying that is we are expecting 83. That's the maximum that you can grow. But we gave more than that. We gave 100, but it is within the buffer. So that's why you are good to over here. Okay. Let's configure for some other this one. Let's take ASPC over here. ASPC. I'm configuring this. Okay, I have to give this 20% because that's what I am expecting here. 20% is what maximum I can grow. So let's say um, the ASPC, and then I'm going to give the ASPC data. Let's verify this right now. So yeah, you can see over here there is a lot of mismatch. Okay, now let's go through this. Okay, so there is one where you can see the CPU delta is 0, and this is within the buffer. So this is nothing to do with CPU and memory. But there is a mismatch because image policy XLS is always, which is not recommended. Which what we are expecting is if not present. Okay, so that's the reason it's that's saying it's a mismatch based upon the data that we put into the session information. Next, for this particular LCM service container specific to this deployment, we are expecting 20, but what we have seen is almost 200 in the YAML. That's something wrong. But again, all this data that I just rendered, it's nothing to do with the actual deployment. So for my learning purpose or for the development purpose, these values were changed. So you can see here it is that there is a delta of 180 m, but is whether it is within buffer or not. No, it is not within buffer. That's why these columns are empty. So that means we have to take precaution. But here, if you see here, there is a mismatch in the memory, but it is still saying that you are within the buffer. So you don't need to worry much, but at least you can say that there's a delta, but yes, we are within the range of buffer of 20% over here, and you're good. But consider this cases where we are out of buffer. That's why you are not seeing the tick mark here. And what is the delta of difference is what you can clearly see in here. And there is one more thing is there is one particular deployment which is specified only in the Excel sheet, but it is not there in the YAML file. So that's why you can see only in YAML, but it is not there in the Excel sheet. Okay, but again, you can also find sometime in only in YAML, but not in Excel sheet also. Okay, so only in YAML will also be there. So the report will exactly give what was the reason of the difference. Either it's going to be either mismatch or only in XLS or only in YAML. And within buffer will help you to understand whether the dimension numbers are within the buffer range that we configured. And the delta will help you to easily understand where exactly the difference in the numbers between the XLS and YAML. So XLS is high priority, and the YAML is what we deployed. So that compares that and then show you this. So this is all about detailed report. And we also have a dimension. Again, you can the dimension also it compares and then say on overall, if you see here, it is within the buffer. But yes, there is a difference. So what I'm trying to say that we are expecting 700 milli CPU for, but what we found is only 300 milli CPU. So the delta is almost 400 milli CPU. But yes, we are within the buffer of 700, so we are good. That's what this report says. Okay, so with that we will be able to understand exactly whether we are overutilizing stuff or not. We can also look into this. If we are also defining anything replica, which is for example we are expecting replica of 2, but you define only 3, then definitely this kind tool will help you to understand exactly the replica factors also. um, so um, yeah, that's the useful of this tool. Please provide your comments and help me to improve this tool much better for further analysis. Thanks for watching this video.